Hey everyone, Tristan back with another video, and I wanted to kind of expand a little bit about this talk about audio cables and how they actually can improve your sound. It should be noted that no audio cable can actually add anything to your signal. It can only attenuate certain frequencies to sort of tune your signal more to how you like it. It can also take away or attenuate interference, such as RF interference or EMI interference. So there's no real right or wrong with regards to cables. So for instance, headphone cables, that's why you have certain people that really prefer a pure copper cable. They just prefer the way that it sounds. Or some people prefer a pure silver cable. Some people might prefer a silver-plated copper cable. So there's no right or wrong. It just depends on what you like and the enjoyment level that you get out of certain cables. Now people say, well, why don't recording studios or mastering studios use like really super high-end expensive cabling? From somebody who has actually worked in studios and actually for a year did also live concert audio production as an assistant audio engineer. Also, like in the 90s, in a prior life, I did some sound for the band Starship as one of the examples. Also did some audio for the guitarist Peter White in the 90s for live productions and stuff like that. So I do have some experience with this. I have been in music studios. I can't say across the board that all music studios don't use high-end audio cabling. Some do, in fact. Usually it's because they have a deal with a certain manufacturer. I know, for instance, David Lynch, the director, has a home studio, which is a home professional audio studio, recording studio. He uses Monster cable, and there's articles online about that. Some studios probably use all AudioQuest because they have a deal, like with AudioQuest. So I can't across the board say that all recording studios or mastering studios don't use high-end audio cabling, but I can say it is true that most of them just order from like an audio supplies catalog, an industrial audio supplies catalog, and they use cabling from industrial audio cabling manufacturers such as Belden or Mogami. Those are the two most common cabling manufacturers. But the reason why most of those audio studios don't use like super high-end expensive audio cabling is because they're not listening for enjoyment. They're listening for work. And what I mean by that is they want to hear all the flaws in the signal. They want to hear as accurate as possible representation of the sound and music that's coming through to them. They want to hear the noise. They want to hear all the flaws. They want to hear if a certain instrument, the timbre of a certain instrument is just not quite right. So they're not listening for enjoyment like we are at home. They're listening for work, and there's a big difference there. So in that way, replacing or getting higher end audio cables at home can actually tune our signal or our sound to a level that we really like to give more euphonics, and that's a word that I use a lot, euphonic, and that basically just means a more enjoyable listen. So when we're listening at home, we might like a certain cable that makes the highs a little bit less. I know I do for headphones. Like I don't want my highs to sound really bright and harsh. And that's why I like, for instance, a pure copper headphone cable. And that actually goes for most all of my cables. I just prefer pure copper in general for that reason. Some other people might prefer to hear like really, bright highs, and therefore different kind of cable might suit them better. For instance, an all silver cable has traditionally been a cable that provides that for them. Even USB cables, even though they're digital, it's to a lesser extent with USB cables because it is a digital, I don't want to say digital signal because it's not actually a digital signal, but it is digital. USB is a digital audio format. But the signal through a USB cable is actually an analog signal, believe it or not. If you take that signal, like a signal going from a computer to a DAC via USB cable, and you analyze that on an analyzer, it will actually be very high frequency analog noise or analog sound that is actually being transmitted through that cable. So while it is actually a USB digital audio, the actual signal is actually being transmitted through that cable or down the cable, with an analog signal. So anyway, it's for these reasons that cables can make a difference in your home audio system, whether it be a stereo interconnect, a headphone cable, or even a USB digital cable. Again, the cables really can't add anything at all to your signal, but they can attenuate certain parts of the frequency spectrum to tune the signal to make a more enjoyable listen for you. Questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to leave them. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and also if you are subscribed, hit the bell also so that it's highlighted so that you can get notified anytime I post a new video. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.